She wanted an adventure. I made it unforgettable, especially that romantic evening she spent on the toilet. I'm a 34-year-old guy, shift supervisor at a manufacturing plant in Columbus, Ohio. Been living in the same neighborhood for almost a decade now. It's not fancy. Working-class families, guys who punch time clocks and fix things with their hands. I manage the night crew at Henderson Manufacturing, making automotive parts for the Big Three. Nothing glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps the lights on. I was married for 5 years to a woman I'll call Tracy, though that's not her real name. Tracy Collins worked as a pharmaceutical sales rep for a medical device company. One of those jobs where you wear expensive suits and talk to doctors about equipment they probably can't afford. She traveled constantly, twice a month minimum, hitting hospital and medical conferences all over the Midwest. Cleveland one week, Chicago the next, sometimes as far as Denver for the big industry shows. I never questioned it because that was her job, right? She'd come back with stories about boring presentations and overpriced hotel food. I'd listen and nod, ask about her day, try to be the supportive husband. Looking back now, I realize how many signs I missed, how many red flags I explained away because I trusted her, because I loved her. Because I'm apparently the kind of guy who doesn't notice when his wife is planning to cheat on him, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about the night everything changed. It was a Tuesday around 2 in the morning. I've always been a light sleeper. Comes with the territory when you work manufacturing. You learn to wake up when something sounds wrong. That night, what woke me up was this steady dripping sound coming from the kitchen. Our faucet had been acting up for weeks, and I kept meaning to fix it. You know how it is with home repairs. You always think you'll get to it eventually. Except this night, the dripping was so rhythmic and so loud that it felt like someone tapping directly on my skull. Drip, drip, drip. Each one perfectly spaced, perfectly annoying. Tracy was sleeping next to me, completely undisturbed. She could sleep through a tornado, while I'd wake up if someone 3 houses down started their motorcycle. Meanwhile, I was lying there grinding my teeth, feeling my blood pressure rise with every drop. Finally, I threw off the covers and got up. The floor was cold under my bare feet, and I stubbed my toe on the dresser in the dark, which didn't improve my mood. I pulled on some sweatpants and a t-shirt and shuffled toward the kitchen, already dreading the process of getting under the sink at 2 a.m. The kitchen smelled like the Chinese takeout we'd had for dinner. The dripping was even louder in there, echoing off the tile and stainless steel appliances. I grabbed my toolbox from the garage, the one I inherited from my dad, along with his philosophy of fixing. Things yourself instead of calling some guy to charge you $300 for a 10-minute job. I got down on the floor and opened the cabinet under the sink. That's when I saw Tracy's travel bag sitting on the counter. Normally, I wouldn't have paid attention to it, but it was open, the contents visible from where I was crouched. I could see her usual travel stuff: makeup bag, phone charger, work badge on a lanyard, protein bars she always packed for flights, standard business trip supplies. Then my eyes landed on something that made my brain completely stop working. A prescription bottle, small, orange, with a white cap. Birth control pills. I recognized them because Tracy had been on birth control for years before we decided we might want to have kids someday. Here's the thing that made my blood run cold. I had a vasectomy, not recently either, 14 months ago. We decided that if we ever had children, we'd want to be in a better financial position first. And I volunteered to get snipped, because it seemed easier than having Tracy deal with IUDs or hormones or whatever. The whole procedure was straightforward, just a quick outpatient thing. I remember making dumb jokes with the doctor because I use humor to cope with uncomfortable situations. Tracy had been there with me, holding my hand, being supportive. So why the hell would she need birth control pills if my swimmers were permanently out of commission? I just sat there under the sink, wrench in hand, staring at that little orange bottle like it was a bomb about to go off. My first thought was rational. Maybe they're old. Maybe she just hasn't thrown them away. But something in my gut told me to check. I reached out and picked up the bottle, my hands surprisingly steady despite the adrenaline suddenly pumping through my system. Turned it over to look at the label. That's when my stomach really dropped. Prescription filled 3 weeks ago. Brand new. Her name, her doctor, the date stamped right there in black and white. I don't think I breathed for a full minute, just sat there on the kitchen floor, holding this tiny piece of plastic that had just blown up my entire understanding of my marriage. My brain started going through possibilities like shuffling through cards. Maybe she's taking them for hormonal reasons. Women do that sometimes, right? For acne or irregular periods or something. But then, why wouldn't she have mentioned it? We talked about everything. Or maybe, the dark voice in the back of my head whispered, maybe she's taking them because she's planning to sleep with someone who can still get her pregnant. I very carefully put the pills back exactly where I found them. Then I finished fixing the faucet, which took all of 5 minutes once I tightened the right connection. The dripping stopped. The silence that followed felt enormous. I went back to bed. Tracy hadn't moved, still sleeping soundly, completely unaware that her husband had just discovered something that would change everything. I lay there next to her, staring at the ceiling, and I didn't sleep at all for the rest of the night. Over the next few days, I started paying attention, really paying attention, and suddenly things that had seemed normal started looking suspicious as hell. Like the fact that Tracy had bought a whole new wardrobe over the past few months, said it was for work, that she needed to look more professional. But these weren't just professional clothes. These were expensive, stylish outfits that made her look incredible. Designer blouses that cost more than I made in a day. Dresses that hugged her figure in ways that seemed designed to get attention. I'd always complimented her, told her she looked good. But now I wondered who she was really dressing up for. She'd also started going to the gym religiously, 5 times a week instead of her usual 2 or 3. Said she wanted to get in shape, feel better about herself. I'd encouraged it, even offered to go with her sometimes. She always said she preferred going alone, that it was her personal time to decompress from work stress. Now, that seemed less about personal preference and more about maintaining privacy. And her phone. God, her phone. It was always face down on the table. Always. If I walked into a room when she was texting, she'd casually close out of whatever she was looking at. If I asked who she was talking to, she'd say work stuff or someone from the sales team. Nothing suspicious on its own, but added up with everything else, it painted a picture. Then there was the way she talked about her work trips. She'd come back tired, sure, but there was something else too, an energy, almost like excitement. She'd be exhausted, but somehow more alive, more animated when talking about the conferences. Her eyes would light up when she described the presentations, the networking events, the industry innovations she'd learned about, and one name kept coming up more than any other. Drew. Drew Palmer, apparently a medical device consultant who worked with her company. She'd mentioned him a few months back, said he was brilliant, that he was mentoring her on industry trends. She'd light up when she talked about him, about his innovative approaches and creative strategies. Drew has this amazing way of explaining complex medical concepts to hospital administrators, she'd say, practically glowing. He's revolutionizing how we approach client relationships. At the time, I thought she was just enthusiastic about work. Now I realize she was enthusiastic about him. There were other signs too. She'd started doing her hair differently, more sophisticated, like she was going somewhere important. New perfume that she wore even on regular work days. She'd begun staying late at the office more often, claiming she was working on presentations with the sales team. When I'd call her work line around dinner time, her assistant would always say she was in meetings. I started cataloging everything in my head. The new clothes, the gym obsession, the phone secrecy, the way she said Drew's name with a little uptick in her voice. Like it brought her joy just to talk about him. The business trips that left her glowing instead of drained. And of course, the birth control pills that she had no legitimate reason to be taking. Tracy had another conference coming up in 2 weeks. Denver this time. 3 days of pharmaceutical industry panels and networking events. She was more excited about this one than usual, kept talking about the agenda and the speakers she wanted to see. And yes, Drew was going. Of course Drew was going. We're doing a joint presentation on medical device integration in rural hospitals, she told me over dinner one night. Drew's been so helpful with the research. I think this could really put our company on the map with some of the bigger hospital systems. That's when I decided I needed concrete evidence. I couldn't just confront her based on suspicions and a bottle of pills. I needed to know for sure what was happening. So I called my buddy Shane Murphy. Shane and I went to trade school together, both started at the plant around the same time. He works in the IT department now, handles all the computer systems for the manufacturing floor. He's also the union steward for the tech workers, which means he knows his way around digital surveillance better than most people realize. Shane's one of those guys who could probably hack the Pentagon if he wanted to, but uses his skills to make sure management isn't screwing over the workers. I met him at Murphy's Tavern after our shift ended. The place was typical Columbus working class. Dim lighting, cheap beer, ESPN on 3 different TVs. I laid out the whole situation. The pills, the behavior changes, the Drew situation. Shane listened, drinking his Budweiser and nodding. When I finished, he looked at me seriously. "You sure you want to do this, Wade? Once you start looking, you can't unsee what you find." "I need to know, Shane. I can't keep living like this, wondering if I'm paranoid or if my instincts are right." He nodded slowly. "All right, I can set you up with email monitoring on her work account. Nothing illegal, just tracking when she opens emails, who she's talking to. Gray area stuff that won't get you in trouble, but will give you the information you need." "How gray are we talking?" "Gray enough that I'm doing it for you, but I wouldn't recommend telling anyone else about it. Technically, if you're on the same family phone plan and she's using company email through her personal device, you've got access rights. It's more about knowing how to use those rights effectively." Shane explained that Tracy's pharmaceutical company used a cloud-based email system that logged all activity. As the union steward, he had to learn these systems to protect workers from management. Surveillance. Ironic that I was now using union knowledge to surveil my own wife. We set it up that night. Shane worked his magic with some software I didn't understand, and within an hour, I had access to Tracy's email activity through some kind of dashboard he'd created on a secure server. It felt invasive as hell, like I was becoming the kind of person I'd always judged. But I was also past caring about propriety when my wife was apparently keeping secrets that required birth control. The first few emails were normal, work stuff, scheduling meetings, discussing product launches and client presentations. But then I started seeing the exchanges between her and Drew Palmer, and my stomach sank all over again. They started professional enough. "Thanks for your input on the presentation, and looking forward to collaborating on this project." But as I scrolled through the history, going back weeks and months, the tone shifted, became more personal, more intimate. There was one from Drew that said, "You always know how to brighten my day. Can't wait to see you at the Denver conference." Tracy's response, "The feeling is mutual. These trips are the highlight of my schedule." Another exchange where Drew wrote, "Last conference was unforgettable. Let's make Denver even better." Tracy replied with a winky face emoji. "I'm counting on it." Then there was this one from 3 weeks ago that made me want to punch a hole through my computer screen. Drew, "I keep thinking about our conversation after the Chicago dinner. You're amazing, Tracy. Your husband doesn't know how lucky he is." Tracy, "Sometimes I wonder if he even notices me anymore. But with you, I feel like the person I used to be." Drew, "He's an idiot if he doesn't see what's right in front of him. Any man would be crazy not to worship you." Tracy, "You always know what to say to make me smile. Can't wait for Denver, just the 2 of us this time." Nothing explicitly sexual, at least not in what I could see, but you don't need explicit language to understand subtext. The emotional affair was crystal clear, and I'd bet my paycheck that it had either already turned physical or was about to in Denver. I spent hours going through those emails, taking screenshots of the worst ones, feeling sicker with each exchange. My wife, the woman I'd been with for 5 years, was having an affair. And she'd been lying to my face for months, making me feel like I was going crazy for noticing that something was off. There were dozens of them. Messages about how much they enjoyed working together, how they understood each other in ways their spouses didn't. Drew complaining about his wife not supporting his career ambitions. Tracy agreeing that she felt unappreciated at home. It was textbook emotional affair behavior, and they were planning to escalate it in Denver. One particularly damning exchange from last month. Tracy, "I've been thinking about what you said about taking chances. Life's too short to wonder, what if?" Drew, "Exactly. We deserve to be happy, and we make each other happy." Tracy, "I know it's complicated, but being with you feels right. More right than anything has in years." Drew, "Then let's stop overthinking it. Denver will be our chance to see where this goes." I sat there reading that exchange over and over, feeling my marriage dissolve in real time. She wasn't just planning to cheat, she was planning to leave me. The birth control pills weren't just about preventing pregnancy during an affair. They were about preparing for a new life with Drew. That night, after I'd compiled enough evidence to convince myself I wasn't crazy, I sat in my truck in our driveway for 20 minutes before going inside. Just sat there hands on the steering wheel, trying to process the fact that my marriage was over. When I finally went inside, Tracy was in the living room watching some romantic comedy on Netflix. She smiled when she saw me, this warm, genuine smile, and said, "Hey babe, how was drinks with Shane?" "Good," I said, forcing myself to smile back. "He's doing well." "That's great. I made pasta for dinner if you're hungry." I wasn't hungry. I felt like I might never be hungry again. But I said, "Thanks, maybe in a bit," and went upstairs. I sat on the edge of our bed and tried to figure out what to do next. I could confront her now, show her the emails, demand an explanation. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the investigator in me wanting to gather more evidence. Maybe it was the part of me that wanted her to suffer the way I was suffering. Or maybe I just wanted to be absolutely certain before I burned everything down. That's when the idea hit me. It was petty, sure, probably vindictive. Definitely not the mature way to handle things. But in that moment, sitting there with screenshots of my wife's affair on my phone, I didn't feel particularly mature. I felt angry and hurt, and like I needed to take back some kind of control. Tracy was leaving for Denver in 8 days. She was excited about it, kept talking about the agenda and the speakers she wanted to see. And yes, Drew was going. Of course Drew was going. They'd have 3 days together, away from spouses, away from scrutiny. 3 days to consummate whatever had been building between them for months. What if those birth control pills weren't birth control anymore? I spent the next day researching, found out that certain laxatives come in small pills that look almost identical to birth control. The pharmaceutical industry apparently has a limited imagination when it comes to pill design. I read reviews, checked dosages, made sure I wasn't going to actually hurt her beyond some severe digestive distress. Because, yeah, I wanted revenge, but I'm not a monster. I just wanted her to experience a fraction of the discomfort she'd put me through. I wanted her romantic Denver getaway to turn into the nightmare it deserved to be. The irony wasn't lost on me. Tracy worked in pharmaceuticals, spent her days talking to doctors about medications and medical devices. She'd probably appreciate the poetic justice of being undone by her own industry knowledge, or lack thereof. I found the perfect product, maximum strength laxative pills in a small, pink, round format that looked nearly identical to birth control pills. Same size, same color, same general shape. Close enough that she'd never notice unless she was specifically looking for a problem. And why would she be? The day before her trip, I went to 3 different pharmacies around Columbus. Didn't want to buy all the laxatives from one place and have the pharmacist remember the guy stockpiling digestive medication. At the first CVS on High Street, I told the clerk it was for a prank video I was making with my buddies from the plant. At the Walgreens near downtown, I said my elderly father was having constipation issues and his doctor recommended this specific brand. At the third pharmacy, a small independent place on the south side, I just put them on the counter without explanation and the pharmacist didn't ask. By the end of my pharmacy tour, I had enough maximum strength laxative pills to completely replace Tracy's birth control supply. Each box contained 30 pills, more than enough for her monthly prescription. I felt ridiculous driving around town buying laxatives like some kind of revenge-obsessed weirdo. But I also felt like I was finally doing something, taking action instead of just absorbing the hurt. That evening, Tracy went to her workout class at the gym. Gone for 90 minutes like clockwork. Spin class followed by weights, then a protein shake at the juice bar. I waited until her car pulled out of the driveway, gave it 5 more minutes to be safe, then went to work. I put on latex gloves from my toolbox, the kind I use when handling industrial solvents at the plant. Went to our bedroom and found her travel bag in the closet, already packed and ready for Denver. The prescription bottle was tucked in the side pocket, right where I knew it would be. My hands were shaking slightly as I opened it, but I forced myself to stay calm. Methodical. Each birth control pill came out easily, small and pink and perfectly round. I lined them up on the bathroom counter like little soldiers preparing for battle. Then I replaced each one with a laxative pill, making sure they went back in the exact same positions. The match wasn't perfect up close. The laxatives were slightly larger, with tiny differences in the pink coloring, but it was close enough that she'd never notice unless she was specifically looking for a problem. And why would she be? She'd been taking the same birth control for years. It was routine, automatic, like brushing her teeth. When I finished, I had a row of birth control pills on the counter and a bottle full of laxatives in my hand. I snapped the cap shut, put it back in her bag exactly where I'd found it, and flushed the real pills down the toilet. Cleaned up any evidence, took off the gloves, and sat down on the bathroom floor for a minute, processing what I'd just done. It felt surreal, like I'd just committed some kind of ridiculous crime. But I also felt this dark satisfaction knowing that Tracy's romantic Denver getaway was about to turn into a digestive nightmare. She wanted to sneak around and lie? Fine. Let's see how sexy she felt when she couldn't leave the hotel bathroom. Tracy came home glowing and energized from her workout. Took a shower, made dinner, chatted about her day. She mentioned the conference again, said she was excited but nervous about the presentation. "Drew's been so helpful with the slides," she said, twirling pasta around her fork. "I really think this could be a breakthrough for our company. The hospital administrators we're targeting have been resistant to new medical device integration. But Drew has this amazing way of explaining the cost benefits." "That's great," I managed. "Sounds like he's a good mentor." "The best," she said, smiling. "I'm really lucky to work with him." "Lucky?" "Right." That night, as we were getting ready for bed, she grabbed her travel bag to do a final check, pulled out the prescription bottle, glanced at it, and nodded to herself. "Almost forgot to pack these," she said casually. "Can't miss a day, you know." "Wouldn't want to forget those," I said, and she had no idea how much meaning was packed into that sentence. She kissed me goodnight, told me she loved me, and curled up against me like everything was normal, like she wasn't planning to cheat on me in less than 24 hours. I lay there in the dark, her breathing evening out as she fell asleep, and I felt absolutely nothing. No love, no affection, just this cold certainty that our marriage was already over. The next morning, Tracy was up early, excited energy crackling off her. She'd laid out her outfit the night before. One of those new expensive dresses, navy blue, professional, but also flattering. The kind of thing you wear when you want to look good for someone specific. I made coffee while she finished getting ready, and we had this painfully normal domestic scene. Her telling me about the conference schedule, me pretending to care, both of us playing our roles perfectly. "My flight's at 9 a.m., she said, checking her phone. "Car should be here in 20 minutes. The opening reception is tonight, then the main presentation's tomorrow and Wednesday." "Hope it's a good trip," I said, and I meant it, just not in the way she thought. When her Uber arrived, I walked her to the door with her suitcase. She kissed me, a quick peck that felt rehearsed, and said, "I'll miss you." "Miss you too," I lied. I watched her car pull away, stood in the doorway until it turned the corner and disappeared. Then I went back inside, poured myself another cup of coffee, and waited. The conference started that afternoon. Tracy texted me a picture of her hotel room view, some generic downtown Denver skyline shot. "Made it safely. Room is nice. Miss you already." I replied with, "Glad you got there okay," and went about my day, heading to the plant for my regular shift. But I couldn't concentrate on production schedules or quality control reports. Instead, I kept checking my phone, waiting for the inevitable. Around 8 p.m. Mountain Time, which would be 10 p.m. in Ohio, my phone buzzed with a text from Tracy, just 2 words, "Rough night." I stared at those 2 words for a solid minute before I started laughing. Not a normal laugh either, the kind that comes from somewhere dark and vindictive, the kind that would probably concern a therapist. Rough night. That was all she could manage. No details, no explanation, just an admission that things were not going according to plan. I composed myself enough to text back, "Everything okay?" No response. Nothing for the rest of the night. I slept better that night than I had in weeks. By the next afternoon, Tracy's company had posted photos from the conference on their social media. Professional shots of people in business clothes, smiling and networking and pretending to enjoy themselves. I scrolled through them, looking for Tracy, and found her in the background of one photo. She looked terrible, pale, exhausted, clutching a water bottle like it was the only thing keeping her alive. Her hair was pulled back messily, and even from a distance, you could see the strain on her face. Meanwhile, everyone around her looked fresh and energetic. The comment section was full of coworkers being supportive. "Feel better, Tracy," and "You're such a trooper for sticking it out." One comment from someone named Jennifer said, "Girl, you need to rest. We'll handle the presentation without you." So she was sick enough that people were telling her to skip work obligations. Perfect. Drew had posted a photo too, a selfie with a couple of other conference attendees. He looked uncomfortable, smile forced. The caption was something generic about professional development and networking opportunities. No mention of Tracy, which was interesting. Their romantic dinner had apparently not gone as planned. That evening, Tracy called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hey," she said, her voice weak and rough. "Hey yourself, how's the conference?" "Honestly, awful. I've been so sick, Wade. I don't know what happened, but I've never felt this bad in my life." "That's terrible," I said, injecting just enough concern to sound believable. "Must have been something you ate." "Maybe. I had seafood last night, and I've been paying for it ever since." Drew felt so bad. He's been checking on me all day, bringing me water and crackers from the hotel gift shop. Drew felt bad. How touching. "Well, hopefully it passes soon," I said. "These things usually run their course in a day or two." "God, I hope so. I'm supposed to do the presentation tomorrow, and I don't know if I can stand in front of people for an hour." "Maybe you should rest. Your health is more important than a presentation." "I know, but I don't want to let the team down, especially Drew. He's been so supportive." I had to bite my tongue to keep from laughing. Tracy came home 3 days later, looking like she'd been through a war. She'd lost weight, her face was gaunt, eyes sunken. She dragged her suitcase up the driveway like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "Welcome home," I said, taking her bag. "Thanks," she said quietly. "I've never been so happy to be home." Over the next few days, Tracy recovered slowly. She stopped taking the birth control pills, so the laxatives worked their way out of her system. Her color came back, her energy returned, but something else had changed too. She was quieter around me, less confident. The way she looked at me sometimes, it was like she was trying to figure something out, but couldn't quite put the pieces together. The correspondence with Drew had dropped off dramatically. A few professional messages here and there, but nothing personal, no more winky faces or romantic subtext. 2 weeks after Denver, I decided it was time. It was a Sunday evening, both of us home with nowhere to be. Tracy was on the couch with her laptop, probably working or scrolling social media. I'd been in the garage pretending to organize tools, but really just gathering courage for what I was about to do. I came inside, poured myself a glass of water, and sat down in the chair across from her. "We need to talk." She looked up, and I saw immediate worry flash across her face. "About what?" I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots I'd saved, and turned the screen toward her. "About Drew." The color drained from her face so fast I thought she might pass out. She stared at the phone, at the email exchanges showing on the screen, and I watched her try to process what she was seeing. "You hacked my email," she said, voice shaking. "I verified what I already suspected," I said calmly, "after I found your birth control pills." That hit her like a physical blow. Her mouth opened and closed, no sound coming out. "Want to explain why you need birth control when I had a vasectomy?" I asked. "Because I'm really curious about the mental gymnastics required for that one." She started crying, the ugly kind with gasping breaths and mascara running down her face. "Wade, please, I can explain." "Can you explain the affair? Because that's what this is, Tracy. You've been having an affair with Drew, or planning to." "I didn't sleep with him," she said quickly, desperately. "I swear nothing physical happened." "Right. You just emotionally cheated and were planning to physically cheat at the conference. How'd that work out for you, by the way? Noticed you spent a lot of time in your hotel room." Her face crumpled. "I was so sick. I don't know what happened." "I do know what happened," I said, keeping my voice level. "Want to know why you got sick?" She looked at me, confused through the tears. "Those weren't birth control pills. I swapped them, replaced every single one with maximum strength laxatives. The silence that followed was absolute. "You did what?" she whispered. "Every morning when you took your birth control, you were actually dosing yourself with laxatives. That's why you spent the entire conference with digestive issues." We argued for over an hour. She tried every excuse in the book. I showed her more screenshots, quoted her own words back to her, watched her defenses crumble one by one. "I don't want to lose you," she finally said. "Please, Wade, I'll do anything." "I want a divorce," I said. The divorce process took 6 months. Tracy moved out after 2 weeks. We divided assets fairly. Neither of us wanted to drag things out. Now the house feels different, quieter, but in a good way. I've started dating Brooke, someone honest and real. Sometimes I think about that moment under the sink, finding those pills. One small discovery that unraveled everything. I don't dwell on it. You can't move forward looking back. I'm building a new life based on honesty and self-respect. I caught the leak in time, grabbed my wrench, tightened what needed tightening, replaced what was broken, and walked away from what couldn't be salvaged. That's not revenge. That's just good maintenance.